The advent of fusion power opened a new world to humanity. Lifting the yoke of energy production and conservation from humanity, new technologies, once deemed the world of science fiction, took the world by storm. Of these new inventions and systems, none had a bigger impact than teleportation. Teleportation archways were originally used exclusively for the movement of cargo. Packages arrived instantly. Autonomous drones sent throughout the solar system no longer required months of travel, and the tyranny of light-speed communication vanished. As they always have, humanity pushed harder and sought further progress, inevitably leading to the development of human teleportation. The vehicle and airline industries dissolved in a few short years. Business meetings on another continent were commonplace, and family gatherings on Mars were routine. Within a few short years, teleportation archways moved from industrial sites and warehouses to the street corner, and finally the front door of most homes and buildings. While many moved from Paris, France, to the Martian colonies in an instant, still others used teleportation to improve access to their worst vices. Liquor stores, casinos, and dispensaries became major hubs for teleportation travel. Still, despite the ubiquitous nature of teleportation, there were those who refused use of the technology. "Dad, for real. All my friends are going to be there. I just want to have lunch with them in Paris. What's the big deal?" Bee asked. At 17 years old, Bee's dad, James, was not surprised by her obstinate determination to subvert his decision to prevent use of teleportation in the family. "The big deal, my loving daughter, is that we do not use teleportation in this family. Unless you have an alternate means of travelling from Indianapolis to Paris, you won't be making lunch," Bee's dad said wearily. "Ugh! I hate that you are such a technophobe. Get over it. Nobody is going back to riding horses." Bee stretched as she stormed out of the room. "Dad, she is kind of right. It's almost impossible to live in society without using teleportation. You drive a car where most people don't even own one. It's just weird," Jacob said, much more calmly than his sister. "Jake, man, you're 15. I don't expect you to understand. Do you even know how those things work? The archways disassemble you at the atomic level when you step in and print a new version of you instantly at the other end. The body that enters the archway dies, and a perfect physical copy is created at the other end. Teleportation kills you before making a new body. Sorry, but I have no interest in my children being killed and copied so they can eat a cheap baguette in Paris," James said with a weary voice. "OMG, Dad, is that about that soul thing again? We have no soul, get over it. Even if we did, like you said, it makes an exact copy on the other end," Bee shouted from the other room. "Yeah, and anyway, I just looked it up online. It says 97% of humanity has travelled through teleportation already. If it kills people, like you say, doesn't that mean that humanity is nearly extinct? Because if so, the world looks lively, despite everyone being dead. And if those people are all soulless, why do they act the same?" Jacob said, in a mocking tone. "Okay, look, I don't have all the answers, okay? Here is what I know. You are giving all your trust to a machine, built and controlled by someone you do not know. You are taking their word that it is safe despite knowing it kills you, and you surrender all control over your life in exchange for an easier life. Sounds foolish to me," James said plainly. "Maybe you are both right. Maybe everyone is fine. Maybe I am the crazy one. And yes, everyone does still look and act the same as before. I get it. All the evidence says I am wrong. Still, do you really want to blindly trust the government and these interplanetary corporations? Fine. When you are 18, it will be your choice. Until then, no," James continued. With that, the conversation was over. James walked toward the front door to the home, and as he stepped outside, he heard his daughter's bedroom door slam. Returning to the yard work he had started earlier, James's mind continued to debate itself. Was he wrong? Was he stifling the growth of his children? Being a parent was so hard, and society only seemed to make it harder. Lost in his thoughts, James failed to notice the members of the neighborhood HOA board walking up behind him. A shock of agony and horror passed through James's mind as he looked down to see the prongs of a pitchfork stabbing out of his chest. Turning slowly, James looked into the faces of his neighbours and slowly sinks to his knees. With a smile devoid of joy and overwhelmed with malice, James's neighbours, Neil and Bridget, stepped towards James, kicking him to the ground, before removing the pitchfork and impaling him repeatedly. As he dies, James's final thought is about how much he had always hated this HOA. Jake watched in horror as his father died, the young man in him wanting to go to his father's aid, while the boy in him begged to run and hide. Frozen for only a moment, Jake ran to his sister's room, shutting the door behind him and barricading it with a chair. "What the hell? What are you doing? Get out of here!" B yelled. The neighbours they just killed Dad," Jake said, through tears of terror and emotional pain. "Shut up! What are you talking about? Go away!" "Dude, B, Dad is dead. They killed him," Jake said, as he fell to his knees, crying. "Whatever, get out of my way," B said. "Dad, tell Jake to get out of my room," she yelled. Walking toward the door, B moved the chair and started to open the door. "Stop! What are you doing? They will get in!" Jake screamed. Pushing him aside, B opened the door and walked into the hallway. Standing at the end of the hallway, less than 10 feet away, B saw Neil and Bridget. Both were smiling, without letting the expression reach their eyes. Neil held a bloody pitchfork, while Bridget held her hands behind her back. "Looking for your father? Why, he's right here," Bridget stated in a cruel voice, as she moved the decapitated head of James from behind her back. In shock and unable to move, B is pulled back into the bedroom by Jake, followed by him quickly slamming the door shut and replacing the barricade. Moments later, a wet thud shakes the door. Neither will ever speak of it, but later they will both realize it was their father's head being thrown at the door. Inexplicably, there was no more pounding at the door, nor attempts to break it down. Traumatized, Jake and B sat silently in the room for hours. Slowly, they both came out of their daze as the room darkened with the setting sun. "I can't sit here anymore, B," Jake said in a shaky voice. "Yeah, okay. So what do we do?" "I don't know yet, but we can't stay here. We need to go get help, or run, or at least find a better place to hide." "We could try to get to Dad's hunting cabin up north. Do you still know the way?" B asked. "I mean, yeah, I think so. We could get there faster, though, if we try using the neighbor's archway," Jake said numbly. "Dude, wake up. Dad was right. I don't know what those fucking things are, but we both know the archways did it. We've got to drive," B said with conviction. "Yeah, you're right. Sorry, just can't think right now. Where are the car keys?" "Dad always left them in the trunk. Not like anyone steals cars anymore." "Okay, let's climb out your window, drop down, and find our way to Dad's truck," Jake said, as he moved to the window. "Dude, come on. We're on the second floor. We'll break our legs." "Maybe so. Tell you what, you open the door and run down the stairs. I'll jump out the window." B hesitated. She knew she did not want to see the other side of that door. "Yeah, no, you're right. Let's go out the window. Oh, wait. Remember Dad installed those fire exit ladders on the windows? We don't have to jump," B said, as she eyed the door. Jake and B opened the window and extended the ladder. Climbing down to the ground, they surveyed the backyard, lit only with the soft light of a partial moon. "Do you think they are zombies? Can they, I don't know, smell us?" Jake asked quietly. "I don't know what they are, and I do not know if they can smell us. But I am pretty sure if you don't shut up, they will hear us," B whispered. Sneaking toward the truck, Jake and B saw far less destruction than expected. The streetlights were on, houses had electricity, there were no fires, piles of dead bodies, or even car accidents. The world looked normal. Starting the truck, B quickly reached over and turned the headlights off. She was grateful the truck was silent without a gasoline engine. Her father had told her how loud those ones were. Backing down the driveway to the street, B turned north. She silently prayed they could find their way to the old cabin. Glancing at Jake, she saw him staring, tears building in his eyes. Following his gaze, B saw their father's body in the front yard. Quietly, she whispered, "Goodbye, Dad, and thank you."